Welcome to the online worship service here at First Jefferson UU Church in Fort Worth, Texas. My name is Reverend Dr. Aija Duelm, and I'm delighted to be here today as your guest speaker while your minister, Reverend Annie Furster, is having her well-deserved Sunday off. I'm glad you are joining us for worship. In this space, we proclaim a liberal faith, and we welcome all in our doors. I welcome you who are new to this community and are wondering whether there is something here that might answer your heart's longings. I welcome you who are returning to this space for community, strength, healing, or inspiration for your journey. Here in this community, we are committed to affirm the dignity and worth of every human being. We strive to do the work of justice, and we honor wisdom that is found in all faith and all religions. We are recording this worship on Saturday, and here with me is a small crew of very dedicated people who make magic possible so that we can connect and stay in touch with each other and continue our faith journeys. So let us begin by centering ourselves as your talented minister of music, pianist Misha Beresnev, plays the prelude. We enter our sacred space together with the words by Marian Hatcher Cotter. Welcome to this place of possibility. This is love's hearth, the home of hope, a refuge for minds in search of truth, ever folding, ever beautiful, and ever strange. Here, compassion is our shelter. Freedom, our protection from the storms of bigotry and hate. In this abode, may we find comfort and courage. Here, may our sight become vision, to see the unseen, to glimpse the good that is yet to be. Please join for our opening hymn, number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. We will sing it twice, and our song leader today is Reneel Baker.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, thus is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, thus is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Chalice is a symbol of our free faith. As I light it to guide us today, please join me in saying these words written by Amy Carroll Webb. How often we seek refuge in this sacred flame from the world's trouble and pain. Today, may our lamp light the way for those who know no refuge, that we may open our minds, our arms, our hearts, our mouth to sing, "Come, whoever you are, wholly new and wholly true." In today's worship, we focus on a theme of refuge, a place of protection and safety. I offer you some questions to consider. These questions are for you. You can use them for your own spiritual reflection or as conversation starters for deep conversations with each other. And as you reach out to connect to each other, this may help you to stay connected. One such opportunity is coming up on Tuesday evening during the Zoom meeting, where you can share your thoughts and experience of today's worship theme. So here are the questions. Where do you go for safe refuge and genuine protection? Where do you find the spaciousness that is capable of holding up your complicated life? What about admitting that you need help or would like someone to reach out to you? As you think about these questions throughout the service, I will offer my reflections and thoughts with you. These will come in two sections, but before we begin, I invite us to ground ourselves in the covenant of this community. Please join me in reminding ourselves of the promise we give to each other. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Today's story for all ages comes from an ancient epic poem called The Conference of the Birds. It was written by Persian Sufi Muslim writer Fariduddin Attar. Once upon a time, all the birds in the land decided they needed a leader for their community. A leader they thought would make the community stronger. Representatives of all the bird species gathered to discuss finding a leader. "A leader will tell us the right things to do," said the robin. "Our leader must be wise," said the owl. "A leader must believe we each are important, big and small," said the sparrow. "I want the leader to be caring, like a friend," said the dove. "Yes, the leader help us share and get along better," said the jay. "The leader must make us feel safe," said the hawk. "I know where you can find such a leader," said the hoopoe bird. "It's the simurgh, and it lives far from here." So for some of you, you may not know what hoopoe bird looks like, and I have Julie put this picture on it. It's quite a pretty bird. So when hoopoe said that, the birds got very excited. They said they were willing to go anywhere to find such a leader. "It might be dangerous," said the hoopoe. A few birds looked troubled, but all the birds voted to go find the simurgh. The hoopoe took off, and all the birds followed. They flew at night. They flew in sunshine. Days and days passed. Some birds got tired and left the group. Other birds were filled with doubt. How did they know the simurgh really existed? Only the hoopoe had ever heard of this bird. Some of the doubters dropped out, but others kept going. One valley was filled with fiery mountains. All the birds were afraid. "I'm too small to make it over that mountain," lamented the sparrow. "No, keep flying. We can make it together. We will help you," others said. And they did. The strong flyers helped the weaker flyers. The birds with good vision helped find food for the group. Along the journey, the birds learned how to better respect, share, and care for each other. It seemed that every bird had something special and unique to offer that made the journey easier. "Finally," the hoopoes announced, "we are here." The other birds looked around in anticipation. "Where is the simurgh? We don't see it," they cried. "Come, it's over here," said the hoopoe. The birds stood beside hoopoe and realized they were on the edge of the lake. They looked in and saw their own reflections. Then they understood. The simurgh was not another bird. The simurgh was all of them, and all of them were the simurgh. They remembered that each of them had something good and strong and special inside of them, and that each bird had gifts to bring to the community. They were all that was needed to keep the community strong. They knew now that together they could do anything. Please join in the hymn, which is in our teal hymnals, number 1020, and it's called Woyaya.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know,
I mentioned the story about the bird's journey comes from Sufi tradition. What we heard today is a summary of a much longer story written by a 12th century Sufi Attar. Well, I did not grow up with this tradition, and I'm thankful to Reverend Barbara Merritt for her insight into the background and context of this story. According to Reverend Merritt, fundamentalist extremists of Islam view Attar and other mystics in the Sufi tradition in somewhat the same way as fundamental Christians look at us Unitarian Universalists. Attar has been called an infidel and a universalist for his inclusive teachings that were often rejected by other Muslims. In this story, Attar grapples with the diversity of human experience and the unique and complex realities that mark the spiritual journeys. I wonder if any of these bird experiences might be familiar to you. On this journey, all are welcome, all are included, and it truly is meant all. The passionate and the fearful, the skeptics and the insightful, the activists and the unfaithful. While the journey requires to leave behind the timidity and their lack of trust, they are invited to come as they are. Like in any assembly of religious liberals, the birds have their excuses. We didn't hear this in the story, but there is a nightingale who doesn't want to abandon her beautiful roses, and the duck who announces she's already holy enough. The peacock contends that the good work he's doing currently is sufficient, and the hawk proclaims already exercising a lot of power and influence. And like all religious liberals everywhere and apparently in every age and culture, even though they said that what they wanted was to move swiftly towards truth, they had a few questions. They were apprehensive and fearful that they might not be properly equipped. They were more than willing to express their doubts and misgivings to their leader. One bird wants to know exactly what lies ahead on the journey even before they begin. Another bird is convinced that he doesn't have the strength or courage for such a daunting pilgrimage. One is too afraid of death. Another bird suffers from depression and is lost in self-pity. The birds are not altogether lacking in self-awareness. Some admit that they are just too lazy and easily distracted. It's quite the assembled congregation, a marvelous testimony to the struggles and objections of a diverse flock. They want to move and go the distance, but they also want to be on a familiar ground. Does any of this sound familiar to you? This story, a classical Persian allegory, is about the soul's journey to finding union with God. Yet Attar does not use the word God. He describes the purpose of human existence as finding the dwelling place of the heart, the place of wholeness, eternity, and love. For the Sufi, the purpose of the journey is to experience it. And you have to go in the wings of love. Love is the remedy for all ills. Only love gives courage to stay on a difficult journey. Only love has the power to release from self-centeredness. For Attar, the kind of love that is required is passionate and scandalous. It is like love between royalty and slave, not an acceptable practice back then. It is like a love affair between people of different faith, unthinkable in that time. This kind of love helped birds take care of each other on this journey, using whatever gifts and strength each of them had. And the end of the journey is a happy one. They encounter 1,000 suns and stars and moons, and they grow back their feathers. An important detail to the birds. They also discover the truth that the place of genuine refuge was located within their own hearts, minds, and souls. The kingdom of God was within their own being. Attar's last words to his readers are, "I have described the way. Now you must act." The idea of seeking refuge is not unique to Sufi tradition. Buddhism teaches that taking refuge is about refusing to stay centered in your own self and opening up to all situations, all emotions, and all people. The Buddhist teacher, Pema Chodron, describes the practice of taking refuge as finding the spaciousness that is capable of holding up your life. In Christianity, God is a place of refuge, a very present help in the midst of disturbing storms of life. In Psalm 46, it says boldly and confidently, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we won't be afraid, though the earth changes, though the mountains are shaken into the heart of the seas, though the waters roar and are troubled, though the mountains tremble with their swelling, the God of Jacob is our refuge." Many of us have found Unitarian Universalism to be a place of refuge. I learned about this faith only 6 years ago. And following the first worship service that I attended, I knew this is the place that can hold me in my complex spiritual journey. So I kept coming back, learning more and more about Unitarian Universalism. What I discovered is that at its best, this is a place that can hold complex faith perspectives, encourage and honor individual journeys, and offer community and support. As a religious community, we encourage friendships and trustworthy relationships. We aspire to be a place where no one is excluded, silenced, or marginalized. First Jefferson can be a place where complexities are recognized and human beings with all our flaws and misgivings can find strength for the spiritual journey. The liberal church urges each one of us to take better care of our neighbors, so we are a place of refuge for all. In one way, we offer care and support to each other is offering a ritual during worship, a time of holding one another in our hearts. Here, this ritual is called Communion of Names and Milestones, and it involves sharing our joys and sorrows as well as expressing our care and compassion with one another. If you like to lift up something that you are experiencing during this time and would like the congregation to know, please send an email or give a call by Friday to the leaders so we are able to share about your experience during the worship service and hold you in prayers and thoughts, as well as rejoice with you in joyful events. Today, We are holding people in our hearts who have experienced loss in recent wildfires throughout California and during the latest storm, Laura. We also lift up the disturbing events in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The injuries and the killings, even the killings against the protesters, knowing that with our hearts breaking over the wrongdoings, we dare to hope that compassion and hope can be found, and that love will help heal our broken relationships and encourage us to work towards more just world. And as I light this other candle, may we be reminded of how interconnected we are with each other. That what affects one affects us all. So let's take a moment to quiet ourselves and join in a short meditation. Breathe with me. As we breathe together, place your hands on your chest to feel your heart pulse, opening compassion for yourself and for others. Reach out your hands to extend love to others, hoping and praying that each one of us finds refuge. If you need to gather more compassion, place your hands on your chest, and then reach out again to give support to each other until we are refreshed and ready to help transform the world into a place that is safe for all. As we practice this meditation, I offer words by Stephen Schick. From the loneliness of troubled times we come, to discover that we are not alone. Into the dwelling place of togetherness we come, to collect remnants of hope. From fear that all is lost we come, to discover what will save us. Into the comfort of each other's arms we come, to feel the strength that has not yet vanished. Into the refuge of fading dreams we come, to remove illusions and focus new visions. From despair that walks alone we come, to travel together. Into the dwelling place of generations we come, to pledge allegiance to being peace and doing justice. May it be so. It feels cliche at this point to say that the year 2020 is unprecedented. This week we had 2 hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico. One of them, Laura, was described as unsurvivable. Many evacuated for safety, but then there were some who did not. Wildlife is also threatened in these conditions. How and where will they find refuge from the storm and its aftermath? Storms are not the only ones that prompt us to seek for refuge. The protests against police brutality and the horrific events, killings of protesters this week, reminds us over and over again that the dangers inherent in our society leaves many without a place of safe refuge. Where do you go to find refuge for your soul when you are tormented by injustices and pain that is all around? While the pandemic continues to encroach on our lives, the stresses of our daily lives pile up. Even as we seek to find shelter in our own homes, the challenges and losses have affected our homes too. The statistics show that there has been a significant increase in domestic violence. Data shows 40% increase earlier this summer. In addition, many victims of domestic violence are too afraid to reach out. They are stuck at home with their abuser. They may be deprived of phone or other means of contacting others. A place that we hope offers refuge for many is not that at all. Where do we go for safe refuge and genuine protection? Another statistical data shows that alcohol sales went up by 27% since the pandemic, and the drug overdoses increased nationally by 18% in March, 29% in April, and 42% in May. You see where this is going. Treatment centers here in Dallas are seeing an increased number of people coming in for treatment. Many have relapsed. Yet the reasons for the increase in overdoses are not simply related to people's coping abilities. The pandemic has disrupted the supply chain, and drugs that people were used to are not as accessible. So they try something new, thus risking overdose and death. And in addition, social distancing means people take drugs alone, and it is less likely that someone is around to call 911. Where are we to find the spaciousness that is capable of holding up our own complicated lives? These and many other challenges in our lives leave us wanting to have a safe space, a place where we are accepted as we are, where we do not need to look over our shoulder, a place to find calm and peace for our souls. As Unitarian Universalists, we are just like everyone else, a complicated mix of strength and weakness. We are complicated and conflicted people, and we will sooner or later realize that at times we need help, protection, and assistance. Do we know who in our midst is seeking refuge? Are we a place that can hold the complicated lives of people? The ministry during the pandemic is more complicated, because how do we hold one another? How do we share with one another when things to be shared are heavy and the only thing we have is Zoom meetings and phone calls and texts? What helps us as a congregation to be a place of refuge during these times? There is a variety of assessment tools that offer our churches ways to understand the effectiveness of our ministry. And one of such tools to measure how we are doing as a congregation is to ask a question: how many meaningful conversations can any given member of the congregation have with other members? To be able to have meaningful conversations strengthens bonds we have with each other. In these kind of conversations, we learn that someone near us is struggling. Or maybe share that we ourselves would really benefit from a helpful hand, a supportive friend with whom we can be ourselves and admit that we need help. I know it's not easy to tell another person for fear of being seen as weak or for fear of being judged. Yet without support of others, some things do not get better. We, my friends, are a community, and as such, support and care doesn't happen if we do not reach out to each other. So I invite us to lean on each other during this time. Reach out to one person from this congregation. Call or write a card to let them know you are thinking about them. Much of this was done early on during the pandemic, and still we are not yet back to being able to support each other face to face. Let your minister know you are appreciating the work she's doing. Connect with the worship crew, administrator, the board to offer them words of appreciation and encouragement. Offer kindness to parents and teachers who are beginning a very different school year. Reach out to the one whom you have not seen or heard from since the pandemic began. And receive. Receive care from others. Receive support and kindness, even if it comes in a clumsy ways to you. Offer these as the gift of receiving hope. Because we are a community of hope. With deep roots in a courageous past, we are grounded in the present, in the here and now, looking with hope toward the future. We have a vision of a better world that is possible. I invite you to join us in our closing hymn, Lean on Me. And if you have hymnals, it's 1021.
Sometime in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long, 'cause I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. You just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
We extinguish this chalice flame, yet the sparks of light are still within our hearts, reminding us to stay connected and continue the journey on the wings of love. And I offer you the benediction, words of Cheryl Block. As we go forward into this frightening, exhilarating, confusing, miraculous world, may we offer our comfort to the afflicted, our love to those who are lonely, and our wish for all to be safe.